Tuesday, August 8th. Annie, you have a roll call for us, please.
Oh, it's online, it looks like. Oh, don't do that. Where did it go? Sorry, my computer does not crazy. It's doing really weird things. Carrie Powers, Cheryl Hartman, Eric Dixon, Jason Emery, Jason Hauser, Kelly McGuire, Shane Stack, and M. Katz. In 206, we have Commissioner Vero and Slotnick, with Ann Hughes, Andrew Chorney, Vinnie Pavlish, Allison France, Emmy Bristow, and myself, Annie Kathy.
Okay, thanks a lot. So before we dive in, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? Okay.
Go to the fair, go to the fair.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Good. That's good. Dates on the fair?
Wednesday through Sunday.
There you go.
I don't know what day is today. I don't know.
When is Lords of Dirt?
Sunday,
There you go.
but you gotta start, start the fair week early on Wednesday.
With
Yes.
the other good stuff. Okay, the consent agenda. There's only one item on the consent agenda. Do you want to put out and talk about it? Or do you want to just consent?
What is AFSCME? Is it something to do?
It's really
911.
hard to remember government.
Federal.
Oh,
It's the union
Safety.
contract with 911.
Okay,
See, it's
thank you.
Canadian.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
All right, I'll second that. Any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, our first action item comes to us from Jason Hauser.
Good morning, everybody. This is a contract amendment with Garden City Janitorial to add the, what is that, 127 East Main. That's Chet's department, to add the janitorial to the contract. It's $1,470 a month. They'll get 3 cleanings a week, every week for that. And yeah, that's the depth of it.
All right,
Who had done it before?
Well, because they're under construction above and through them,
Oh.
it was part of the cleaning contract for the construction, and now we're rolling it into the county's contract.
Thank you. I move to approve the contract amendment with Garden City.
I'll second that. Any public comment on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Ellie.
Good morning. This is a grant acceptance document, or 2 acceptance documents for an award from the Montana Board of Crime Control. This is the VOCA award, which stands for Victims of Crime Act. So these are federal funds that are then passed to the state awarding agencies and then sort of sub-distributed to local organizations. So we rely on these funds. We get them every 2 years. So they are in our budget. We plan to receive them. But I will flag for you that it's less money than we've seen in the past. And this is a trend we've been seeing, that it's less every time we get the award, even as our costs are, of course, as you know, going up. So last time it was $316,000 for 2 years. This time it's $250,000 for 2 years. And this supports our, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Kelly. And when you said less, is it less coming from federal government to Montana or less from Montana to us?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. So in the past, this has been only federal dollars. So the federal pot to Montana has been shrinking over time. And then with this last legislative session, they did create a state fund of money, but that's only like 50,000 of this pot. So it is more than it would have been if they hadn't passed that bill at the legislature this year. So we're very lucky. We now have some state funds going to support crime victim advocacy, which is a first time thing for Montana, I think. But the federal pot every year has been shrinking.
Thanks.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
I'm going to motion to accept whatever funds we can get.
yeah, I'll second that.
Okay.
And any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for the good description, Kelly.
Thank you.
Shane.
Good morning.
it's kind of a long story on this one. And we've covered this before. The water rights in Lolo, we've been working on the place of use and the expansion of those water rights. And if you recall, wells 2 and 3, we were able to work through the DNRC, but because well 1 was perfected before 1972, we have to go through the water court. And because of that, Ross, I'm working with Ross Miller. So this is basically a contract amendment with Ross Miller, who is an attorney that really focuses on water rights, and we've been working with him on the Lolo water system for a few years on this. But this was kind of an additional scope of services working with the water court, because originally we were just going to be working with the DNRC. Well, water court has requested, and this is their normal procedure. We've got to reach out to all these different landowners that have water rights that would be impacted by a 1-foot drawdown contour, essentially. So he normally works with Newfields, and so he's basically, the $22,000 that this would cover includes Newfield's work and his work working with a water court. The 22,000 is probably higher than what we need. Newfields has done this work with Stevensville and Hamilton, and the most they've spent is 10,000. And then on top of that, obviously, you've got the work that Ross Miller would have to do. But essentially what Newfields is going to have to do is figure out what that 1-foot water drawdown contour is going to be, figure out all the folks that would be impacted by that drawdown, and then also send out notices to all those impacted folks, and then wait for feedback. They'll give them a time frame for feedback. And so this is all at the request of the water court. And again, all this does is once we get through that process of the public outreach, then the water court will determine whether or not we can get that expanded place of use. So anyway.
And where does the 22,000 come from? Or is that?
Oh, the 22,000?
Is it, yeah, where does it come from? Or is it part of?
Yeah. No, that's 10,000 that's coming from Newfields, and then 12,000 is Ross Miller's fees as well. And he's not charging, there's no pass-through fees for any of the Newfield stuff. He just gives that cost direct to us. But I think it's going to be less than 10,000 because Stevensville and Hamilton, they had thousands of people they needed to reach out to. We're thinking the Lolo number is probably going to be closer to 400. So we're thinking the cost is going to be less than 10,000, but they also wanted to be, we didn't want to come back if it had to be over 10,000, if that makes sense.
No, and I'm sorry, I was just kind of wondering how we're paying, or where the money to pay for it is coming from, or what.
Is it coming from the water district?
Yeah, it comes from Lolo. Yep.
Okay.
RFID 901.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Shane.
Hey Shane, out of curiosity, what if these people disagree with the expansion of the well?
I think they can, that's obviously all going to be shared with the water court, and the water court makes the decision. So if they disagree, that's just something the water court considers.
Yeah. Well,
I move to approve the contract addendum.
I'll second that. And any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for the explanation, Shane.
Yeah, thank you.
Eric, you got it. We're buying some gear.
Yes, I don't recall which one we had on the agenda first. I don't have it open, but I'll start with the roller.
That's
Is
the
that
first.
That's you.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, you got it.
So we have one construction roller, and that's just a smooth drum roller with regular rubber drive tires, and we use it a lot for reconstructing roads and things like that. And with only one in the county, we often have to move it back and forth from Missoula to Sealy and from, Missoula to even the project sites, west and south. So Sealy really likes to use one when they grade their gravel roads, especially in town. It just gets such a better finished surface before you open it up for traffic. So it's often up there when we need it down here, or it's down here when they want it up there. So we were looking around, found some options. So we sent out for bids on a used roller, and we got two responses. This one that we are looking at buying is from ProSource and Billings. It's the model that we needed and has actually the benefit of a bolt on what they call a pad foot roller. And so I'll share my screen here to show you what that is. It's just a bolt on option for the smooth drum that when we're compacting, especially millings, now that we're providing more of those milling surfaces these days, that roller design like that just gets a lot better compaction and really breaks up the millings chunks when we're using that or using it for that purpose. So the idea of having two rollers, either to use on one big project or to be able to split between Missoula and Sealy, just has been needed for a long time. So we think this is a good model that we are looking to purchase. It has everything we need. So we would ask that you sign is this a purchase agreement or a quote, sales quote? Sign the sales quote so that we can complete that purchase, and we'll put it to use. Just a little more background. We actually had to rent one just like this model for our work on Inderland this year with the Millings project, and that was about a $15,000 rental for the 2 months that we needed it. We're going to need it for another 2 months on day shot lease. So this year we could have spent $30,000 on renting this piece of equipment, which is almost half the cost of purchasing this used one. So it'll be paid off really, really soon and will be a big benefit for our work.
And how long do we hope to, with its lifespan?
Well, the existing roller that we have now, I believe that we bought new in 2005, and I think it has less than 1,000 hours on it.
Oh, wow. Great.
So
Wow.
it's a very long-term investment that it'll be here for a while.
And the millings, the whole sort of millings program is just fantastic in turning gravel roads into paved roads without the expense that typically accompanies paving.
Yeah, about a third of the cost. So yeah.
Less wear and tear on cars. It's just a really good way to go. So
Mhm.
Great that we're geared up for more millings.
I'm just struck how much that looks like my physical therapist roller for breaking up fascia. Same thing.
Break up some progress.
Yeah. I move to approve that the chair sign the sales quote. Source.
I'll second that. Any public comment? Okay, all in favor.
I
All right, thanks. Eric,
Thank you.
the next, Western States Cat.
Yeah, so the other thing that we've been wanting and needing for a long time is a mini excavator. Of course, we have a full-size excavator and several backhoes, but those aren't always best suited for some of the work that we need, and they're also not very convenient to transport. A mini excavator we can pull behind a 3/4 ton truck, and have a 2-person crew go up to 9 Mile and go in one truck with one trailer and one mini excavator to clean ditches, clean out culverts, do minor work like that. Whereas right now we have to take an excavator that's about 4 or 5 times bigger than we need because that's the only thing that we have. So we had actually rented a mini excavator this spring for that exact purpose to go up to 9 Mile. And that's, the same. It's a $6,000 or $7,000 per month rental. And that was scheduled months in advance. So if we ever have an emergency situation where we need to, unplug a culvert or do whatever type of emergency work or short notice work, maybe not emergency, they're often hard to find. And for $6,000 a month, that's just not practical for us to have on hand or on standby from a rental or a lease option. So same thing like with the roller, this is something that we can use year round in many different applications. So a purchase for, just under $80,000 will be a good investment for our work for a long time.
This is a great price. Like, do you get implements with it?
Yeah, it's just a basic, it's a mini excavator with I believe it has a little, like the push blade on it, so it's good for backfilling trenches and just moving even a little bit of dirt after you excavate it, working around a little bit of grading at the inlet of a culvert, so it's just very, very useful.
And we don't have one at all, so this is the first one that Public Works had.
Yeah, and there, I
And
mean,
this
there's.
thing was what you were joking about, that the guys were asking for this.
When I went out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Months ago, they were like, we need a mini
Yeah,
excavator,
I
just so
feel-
you know.
I feel like when we were cleaning up under Reserve Street, they were asking the same thing.
Exactly. Something like that would have been perfect for, yeah.
Well, I'm glad we can do it. I moved to sign the chair signed the sales agreement.
Second that, and ask for any public comment. Okay, all in favor? All
Glad we
right.
can get them their
Yes, it's mini X.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have some correspondence.
Yeah, commissioners, this is just a letter to each member of the federal delegation asking them to support, I have to look at my notes here to make sure I don't mess up, including authorization of a couple bipartisan bills that would allow for Medicaid coverage for inmates in our detention center. It would be a huge help, and I know that NACO has been taking the lead on this for a while, and this is an effort to encourage our delegation to do the same.
Great. So I'm going to say for the dozens of people listening to us, a person uses Medicaid, qualifies for Medicaid, that's how they get their health care, and then they find themselves in our detention center for a handful of days or maybe even more, and they have a medical incident. We, county, which means we property taxpayers, take care of their medical costs, even though they actually qualify for Medicaid, even though they were using Medicaid prior to their time in our jail. So if the federal laws were changed, this would save Missoula County taxpayers quite a bit of money.
They stop their coverage the minute they're even arraigned. I don't think in jail. It starts up again after that.
Oh, I didn't realize.
The logic around it is kind of crazy. Why did this person instantly become the responsibility of them? So anyway, glad we're writing this letter,
Yes.
and thank you all
Thanks,
for
Allison.
getting it
Thanks,
done.
Allison.
I think we did one earlier in the spring of this year, about 6 months ago when NACO started the project. Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm sure NACO's pretty
Yeah.
excited about this. Okay, do we have anything else?
I don't see Adrian on
See
for
Adrian.
fire updates.
So happy with the rain and cooler
Oh my
weather.
goodness. Yeah, wonderful August reprieve. Okay, then I guess we are done.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.